Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 130 of the Too Sweet Podcast. We are live on the Spotify Green Room, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube as well. Always feel free to like, subscribe. You see the Twitter handles if you're watching on YouTube. Join us on Twitter. Got Marie Shadows joining me. And this is going to be a great show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. How's it going, Marie?
It's going good, man. Thank you for having me. Let's start.
All right. Start right at the top with, of course, as with every week, AEW Dynamite. Man, this was a packed show. It had a lot of stuff to happen in this show, man. First we started with the Jungle Express, Christian Cage, Bryan Danielson versus the Super Elite. I like how they just had everybody right in the ring as the match started. Like, no entrances. We're going right into it. The spot of the match, that Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega faces off. But the ending of the match, Super Elite pick up the victory. But like the referees, you've lamented this before, Marie. Like the referees just stand around while it's four people in the ring. I didn't like that. What did you think?
Yeah. I only caught glimpses, just to put it out there, I didn't watch AEW in its entirety, but I did watch some of the clips that like AEW put up on Twitter. But yeah, you're totally right. We've seen this many times where like the referees don't really enforce the rules. And you know, that's not always a bad thing, right? Like sometimes you can be lenient, and I get that. But with something like this, there needs to be some type of order, because then, you know, it takes me out of the match to know that the Elite are going to win because they're dominating, like, I don't know, 80% of the match, while Jungle Express with Christian and Danielson get like 20% in offense, right? Like, there has to be a balance, and I get it that these are all big guys and you're just one referee and you can't really, like, you know, keep everything in order. But at least try and make the effort so that way the story could be a lot more juicy inside the ring, rather than just like, all right, you know, the Super Elite is going to hit their V trigger here, you know, and shit like that. And they're going to do this and that. Like, they need to stop making it predictable. It could be fun, because I know that some people love that type of style, but, you know, make it make sense.
Right. I totally agree with that. And it's like every Elite match, to which this is why I respected Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy. It was just him. But it seems like every Elite match is like extra interference. It's extra something going on, and the Elite wins.
Yeah. The extra interference, like, you know, if interference is done right, you're going to have a really good match to talk about. If it's done all the time and it's messy and sloppy, like, all we're going to do is remember the interference and not remember the match.
Right. It's all about the ending. What's the finish? What's the finish? Yep. After that, CM Punk came down, and I put this out there on Twitter. I said, them having Punk come out every week is starting to take the luster off of his return after however many years, because it's promo, it's commentary, every Dynamite, and it's like, oh, Punk's here again. So the luster has been taken off. Nevertheless, he will be facing off against Daniel Garcia on Rampage this Friday. What do you think about that take?
I had two hot takes on Twitter, and obviously I got a fanboy upset, judging about how like he came at me. So basically, like, you know, if any of you guys ever listen to me talk about Punk, I'm no longer a CM Punk fan, but for the sake of the business and for the sake of story, we're going to dissect this a little bit, right? So CM Punk comes back. Congratulations, Punk. You're back after 7 years. What I didn't like was that it feels like every person he wants to face, when he did that interview, it's like he's checking names off a list. And I'm like, well, this is a little too fast. Like, weren't you complaining about this in WWE and how WWE moves on to the next supposed story, like, right away? Like, why are you doing that here? Why are you not dragging out this awkward storyline that got started with Taz, and then all of a sudden you want to jump to Daniel Garcia? Like, you know, for example, he faced Darby Allin. Why didn't Darby be like, no, Punk, that was a fluke. We were in your hometown. You had the advantage. So we're gonna continue the story. Why didn't that happen? and then he faces Will Hobbs and defeats Will Hobbs. Why didn't Team Taz be like, yo, we're gonna jump this guy because, my guys are not supposed to lose. Like, Taz is supposed to put Team Taz on a higher pedestal than like CM Punk and like believe it. So I don't understand why Punk and Will Hobbs are not continuing, and then he's gonna go jump to Daniel Garcia. Nothing against Daniel Garcia at all. Like, he's fucking fantastic. But Daniel Garcia doesn't need this, and CM Punk doesn't need this. And if he keeps doing this, there's two things that you guys got to remember, or just probably accept. One, he's going to leave the business soon, so he's going to leave you guys after he's done with his checklist. And then two, his return is going to mean nothing if he keeps jumping from guy to guy to guy. I want Punk to slow down, stick to a story, and AEW needs to stick to their guns and be like, Punk, we need you to do these stories.
Yes, I totally agree, because at first when I look at the Team Taz thing, I was like, oh, that's kind of random. However, everybody was saying, oh, there's Hobbs, there's Ricky Starks. And I was like, you know what? Ricky Starks versus Punk, I could buy that.
And we also want Hook versus Punk.
Hook
right?
versus Punk. Punk fears Hook. Hashtag. Like, yeah. But all of that seems to be thrown to the wayside. And like, Daniel Garcia, like, there's no connection there. They didn't set up anything there. He didn't, like, there's nothing there. So
that was the same thing with Darby too, but like Darby now makes sense in hindsight as to why like he faced Punk first. But then again, we're lost with that story, because imagine if like, him and Darby got like into a really good story, and then Sting had to get into it because of some odd stupid reason. Like, stories, guys. AEW, make stories. You guys are good at this.
I totally agree. We'll see what happens with CM Punk in the future, but yeah, the luster is kind of wearing off.
Yeah.
Moving on to Armed Anderson. I'll be darned if in 2021 I'm not tuning into a wrestling product every week to see what Armed Anderson has to say, because I'm all in on this. I am all in on this. He had the segment with Cody Rhodes.
You're gonna have to explain. Yeah, you're gonna have to explain the segment, because nobody put that segment up. Apparently, he slaps him.
Yes, he slapped Cody Rhodes. That was the main part of the segment.
That's all I saw.
And Cody Rhodes did nothing but stand there. Goodness, Orton is bringing the comedy to my wrestling life every Wednesday. He's fed up with Cody. He slapped him, and yeah, I love it. They have me invested.
I was gonna tell you that, like, if you or anyone else goes back and watch like his promos from back in the day, it's exactly the same thing. It's very, it's very Arn. Like, this is why he was called the Enforcer, and why no one fucked with him.
Yes, like his promos. Like, if you look at when he had the promo, I don't know if this formed the Four Horsemen, but I think it did. He started talking about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. That is an incredible.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah, that's an incredibly fiery promo, and that was on. Like, he didn't have the flair of Ric Flair, but when it would turn from Ric Flair to Orton, the ability of the promo would never drop off. Never.
Yeah.
Never, ever. So, yeah, Orton is relevant in 2021. You love to see it. You love to see it. Moving on, we had Bobby Fish versus Sammy Guevara. And this was an interesting matchup. It did not go as long as I thought it would. I thought we were getting ready to have like a somewhat of a classic here, but Sammy Guevara picks up the win and he retains the title. What did you think about that match?
It was nice for what it was, right? I really enjoyed Bobby Fish, and I know we're gonna get to talking about my MLW experience, but I'll put it here because Bobby Fish was at MLW to take on Davey Richards during the Opera Cup, and bro, man, seeing him live, I'm like, this guy is fucking great. So what you saw in the ring is exactly what you're probably gonna see every single night. and he's good at what he does. Sammy is also good at what he does. There was just some stuff that like needed to be a little more tight in the match, where like certain moves like should have been smoother and stuff like that. But other than that, like it was good for what it was for like TV for AEW.
Right. I agree with that. Dan Lambert comes out. He runs down. They put the beat down on Sammy Guevara. He runs down Chris Jericho. We're gonna have a 3-way match up next week. I think they're gonna be in Miami. I think that's gonna go down next week. Dan Lambert's team is gonna take the L. Free Scorpio Sky doing it.
Yes,
that's all I got to say about that.
If anyone is listening to this podcast episode, please just make a hashtag that says Free Scorpio Sky. Please,
Yes.
like I don't understand it. Like ever since Scorpio was there, like he's the homie, right? He's like there since day one and shit. And yet then he gets the tag team treatment again, even though he won a brass ring. And I tweeted out, I was like, AEW fans still can't tell me, what was the meaning behind having the brass ring ladder match for having Scorpio Sky win it and also not doing anything with him when you say that he's like the face of the company, right? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and like when he won that brass ring, I was like, okay, they put my boy on the path to the TV title or the TNT title or something along those lines. And it's like he's back to being a tag team guy.
Yeah, he left the tag team to be a tag team guy.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah, I do not like that. It needs to change. Moving on. Speaking of titles. AEW has introduced the TBS title. Tony Khan had a big announcement, and it is going to be theoretically a mid-card title for the ladies, and we're going to have a tournament that's going to get kicked off. We don't know all of the names yet, but we know some of them. What do you think about the TBS title? Because I got quite the take on this one.
I am not too thrilled about it, only because it is a TBS title. It's a network title. So basically, I take it as like your AEW Women's Championship that you made and like put on a high pedestal may now have a decrease in value because it's not a network thing. You're not representing the network. You're representing AEW. I hope that I'm wrong, that in the upcoming months it changes and like it doesn't have that effect on the women's title. It's a pretty title, but I don't think that the women needed like a TBS championship title. I think the women needed their own significant title, and then the TBS title should have been like an open weight championship title just because.
I'll tell you this much. It depends on how they book it, but here's where I'm going to come from on this one. I cannot get invested into the TBS title until AEW puts on more than one women's match on Dynamite on a weekly basis. Because
that's true.
Yes, like to have another title, that means you have to build more stories. And like, it can't just be, okay, we have the storyline for the women's championship and we have the storyline for the TBS title. No, you got to build other stories up under that. So I gotta see how they, like, I know the tournament is going to be good and whatnot, but I want to see in future months, like, how are you going to book the women and how much time are you going to book the women before I get fully invested into the TBS title.
Yeah, and also to add on to that too, like the TBS title better not be on Dark and Dark Elevation, because I think those two shows do a very disservice to the women in general, because I have mentioned this before, how like you have these YouTube shows, but AEW is not spending their money in marketing to have the ads play AEW ads when you're watching a video on YouTube. And then the other thing too is that no one is really on YouTube 24/7 to watch wrestling. So you really have to do the work. Like Cody Rhodes loves to say, you have to do the work in order to get eyes on your product. You know, I don't understand why they're not utilizing the marketing of every single fucking platform there is.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And speaking of Dark and Dark Elevation, personally, I don't watch Dark and Dark Elevation because, like, I can't watch all of this wrestling. Like,
Yes.
Monday was 3 hours. Tuesday, I think one of the Dark and Dark Elevation, that would be 3 hours because NXT. Wednesday, you got 2 hours with Dynamite. Thursday would turn into 3 hours if you watch Dark or Dark Elevation with Impact. And even Dark Side of the Ring is playing.
Yeah,
and then,
so that's like a lot.
Yeah, and then Friday is 3 hours. So I can't be watching Dark and Dark Elevation like that. And like I hear, okay, a lot of people say Big Swole is doing great things on Dark and Dark Elevation. Well, give her a chance on Dynamite.
Right? Like Diamante and Big Swole would have blown up on Dynamite, and it would have been a lot more conversations with everybody on Twitter, Facebook, like wherever you like hang out to talk about wrestling. Like it would have been a big thing. I know nothing of like their feud and why they started it, and then people are like, "Oh, you should watch Dark," and I'm like, "Yo, I tried that." But you know, my reasoning for stop watching Dark was that I could go to an indie show to watch 16 matches. I don't have to do that for YouTube. Like I don't have to do that. Like my problem was that they were booking too many matches because they couldn't include their friends on Dynamite and stuff like that. But like this is where you need to have priorities and follow storylines. Like once one story is completed, rotate it out and bring someone else in or something. Or just make Dark its own show with its own storylines and shit and like present it in a way where like you have to go watch it. But if it's just going to be match after match after match, nah, I'm good.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Totally agree. Moving on, we had Darby Allin versus Nick Comoroto. Not much to write home about this match. It wasn't exactly a squash, but you knew the result. Darby picks up the win. Sting death drops. QT Marshall, hooray for that. Yeah.
At this point, I'm just like, yo, you guys are taking up TV time because it makes no sense. Like that, like, what was the point of that? Like, I could understand if, like, you know, QT wants to dip his foot into like other people's business to make like stories go along, but you need more than that. Like, all right, we could go on to the next one. Like, that's fucking stupid.
Yes, Darby also got attacked by MJF and his cronies. People were saying, "Is that retribution?" They had the black mask and everything, so they took out Darby. The build to Darby and MJF goes on. Moving on, unless you got thoughts on Darby MJF.
Oh, that's right. Wait, no, hold on. Wait, is that the next feud? Right? It is the next feud. Yeah.
Well,
You said that last week. Oh, I mean the week before. Yeah.
They said it was going to be this next Dynamite, but because of the quote unquote attack, Darby has not been cleared, so they're going to do it at a later date.
All right, cool. Let's just
we'll see.
Like that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Next up, we had Dante Martin, and I've been preaching this for a while, and I've been saying, give the kid a story. Like, let's see something other than athleticism. And the kid had the mic for like 15 seconds, and the crowd was going wild for him. He calls out anybody for a matchup. He gets Malachi Black. He gets kicked. And you know what? We're going to have a Dante Malachi Black matchup. What do you think about all of this?
Why? Jesus. Oh my God. That is such the weirdest fucking like matchup to put, because like, you know, Dante Martin is good, right? I'm not going to take anything away from him, but to put him with Malachi Black, who's like really higher in like superstar status, if we really want to look at it that way, like, all right, I think I might jump ahead, but like, didn't like Leo Rush come out for Dante as well, or no? Or like, did they have like interaction?
He didn't come out, but they played one of those backstage pre-tape promos where Leo Rush said, "Okay, Dante, you're facing off against Malachi Black. You're going to need somebody in your corner." And he started talking about money, and he said, "I'll have my people get with your people, and you know what? We'll link up."
Ah, man, so like, No, that to me, like, I, to me, hearing that, I'm just like, yo, you fed Dante to like the fucking wolves. Like, I don't want to use the word buried, and I don't want to use that, but like, you just fed him to the wolves, and I know that Dante could hold his own, but you don't just put him with like something random like that just because Dante is like, yo, I'm issuing an open challenge. You know what would have been great? Because Leo Rush can wrestle, right? Well, I mean, to me, he's not really a wrestler, but he still can wrestle. That weird ass injury that he had is probably okay, but he could have came out and faced Dante Martin, and let's say that if Leo won, he would have been like, yo, come join my camp. My people will get with your people, and I think you're valuable, and we could take over AEW, right? Like, you have to put Dante with like the people he works best with, not with Malachi Black. Like, man, that's so fucking random.
I feel you. I guess the only way I can be like, okay, I can dig it. Okay, maybe if they have Dante face him off in a very competitive match and Malachi Black just wins, maybe Dante will come across looking good.
Yeah.
However, I agree with you that it's real random that Malachi Black was the guy that showed up. And I guess we'll see. We'll see.
And, I don't mind like having weird matchups between like people on the AEW roster, right? Because we call those fantasy matches, and sometimes, the good fantasy matches you want to see are the ones that do great. But like, to put something random like this after Malachi Black is, feuding with Cody and the Nightmare Family, and I guess that's slowing down too. Like, this is where AEW needs their priorities to be like checked. And be like, look, you're in the storyline. You got to go finish it. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, unless you want to add somebody new to make like a new layer and a new like path, then sure. But this is so random.
Yes, very, very random. So we'll see how that plays out. Like, I'm a big fan of Dante Martin, and I hope he gets something consistent.
Right. That's all we ask for AEW. Make it consistent, right?
Yes, absolutely. Moving on, we had Ricky Starks. He called out Brian Cage, said he wanted to fight, but Brian Cage was not there. However, Brian Cage was there. He came in, put the beat down on Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks escapes with Team Taz. And I don't know who the face is in this feud, because the crowd was loving them some Ricky Starks, the Louisiana boy. What do you think about this feud?
My offer still stands. If Brian Cage ever listens to this, I will help you with your promos, because your promos are not the best in the world. And I told you that directly on one of your tweets. Because I'm like, bro, you don't move on to the next until you're done with Ricky Starks. I think I just want this to end just because of how badly it's been handled. And just for having Brian Cage's wife to come in and say that he's a star. Honestly, when she said that, I was thinking that he would have worked better in WWE, because at least WWE would have taught him the ropes of how to do a promo, even if they're giving him a scripted promo, and I think he would have shined better there. But I'm so over this, and it's nothing against Ricky, it's nothing against Brian Cage, it's just how it's been handled. And this is an example of when like other people take priority over like stories that has been in progress. And the AEW does this rotation thing, but sometimes the rotation thing sort of hurts them, and it's hurting this storyline.
Yes, absolutely, because people, as we talked about earlier, people were clamoring for CM Punk versus Ricky Starks. Yeah. And now it's like, well, that's not going to happen. We're shifting back to Brian Cage and Starks, and there's less interest on it now. So yeah, I agree with that. Like, it has lost its luster, and I guess we'll see how it plays out. I can only imagine that it'll play out at Full Gear. Moving on, we had Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb, and Shida was going for her 50th win. Like, I wish this was something they would have said last week instead of just piling it in right before the match. It would have actually meant something. But surprise, surprise, Serena Deeb wins. and she beats down Sheeta with the award after the match, getting some pretty cool heel heat. What did you think about this?
From the clips that I saw, like it's probably it was probably a good match between Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida. Like, you're not gonna get anything less from those two ladies. I do think that AEW needs to start saying certain things ahead of time, or like when they do those Road to shows, to make sure they have a line that says, Hikaru Shida is gonna go for her 50th win, and we're gonna present her with a trophy at the end. So guys tune in or whatever. Just don't do it on the show. I did see that Serena Deeb used the trophy to hit Hikaru Shida with it and break it. All right, cool. We got Serena Deeb with some heel heat. But where does this go next week? How does this set up for next week? That's all I care about.
Yeah, because Serena Deeb has some heat, and you can't just say, okay, we did that, and we're gonna sit Serena to the side for a few weeks, because she's gonna lose the momentum.
Yeah, and go ahead.
You have to have a definitive road that you're going down after this.
Yeah, and I was gonna jump on the whole momentum thing that you were saying, and sometimes AEW don't know when to really give us the momentum, and when to sometimes pull back because it's needed to pull back. Oh my god, their momentum is all over the place.
Yeah, I agree with that. Last up in the main event, we had the ladder match for an AEW World Heavyweight Championship shot. This one was all over the place in a good way. We had a lot of crazy spots. Andrade, I think he had a flipping powerbomb over the top of the ladder on Pac. One dumb thing that happened that bothers me: Lance Archer had the ladder in the middle of the ring. Everybody's laid out on the outside. Moxley's music hits, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go fight Moxley instead of winning the match. Come on, man. Nevertheless, Hangman is the Joker.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hangman wins the match. Big ovation. What did you think about this match?
I want to go back to Lance Archer. He's still promoting his damn match that's coming up in Philly, October 16th and 17th. I think they're gonna be with New Japan and shit, and do tag team matches. Obviously Suzuki. It's gonna be Suzuki with Lance Archer taking on Eddie Kingston and John Moxley at New Japan Strong in Philly. But I'm happy that Hangman came back, right? But nothing fucking changed about Hangman. I get it in his real life. I believe that his wife should have already gave birth. It would have been nice if he would have been hey, my wife gave birth, just respect our privacy, so that way we know, even though it's none of our business. What happened?
To that point, and maybe this should have been on Dynamite instead. I mean, maybe they will do it next week, but after the show, he had a little backstage segment with Tony Schiavone, and he talked about the baby.
Oh, he did?
Yes, he did.
Okay, thank God, because the little thing that I saw was that he had no more PTO time, so he had to get back to work, and I fucking hated that. I hated that so much.
Did say that.
You want to know why I hated that? It's because to me, wrestling is not a 9-to-5 job. You don't get a pension. You don't get, PTO. You don't get $15 an hour, whatever it is, right? So do not remind me of my horrible reality when I have to stop watching wrestling for 2 hours. And anyway, he's a cowboy. He should be having a farm with pigs and cows and chickens and a lovely wife and milking the cows and shit. Play to your fucking character. Do not tell me that you came back because you didn't have any more PTO time. No, I don't want to be rushed back into my horrible reality knowing that some person out there is suffering from a horrible 9-to-5 job. You are a wrestler. You are a cowboy. If you do not want to play the cowboy character to be serious, then don't play the cowboy character. Play a regular 9 to 5 guy, wear a suit like Cody, and come in and make it seem like, it's a 9 to 5 job. So that really bothered me because I'm like, that doesn't add anything to your character, Hangman. Hangman, congratulations that your wife gave birth, right? But
absolutely.
You should. What happened?
Yeah, I was agreeing with you. I said absolutely.
Oh, congratulations on that. But he should have came back with like a darker tone because now it should be his time because everyone that we pop for, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Adam Cole, essentially they took its spotlight, whether or not AEW faithful want to admit it or not. Like, cool, Hangman got a cool ovation when he came out, but like for story wise, it's always been Hangman's duty to get the belt off of Kenny because they've been in a storyline ever since Ring of Honor and New Japan days. The other thing too is that like he came back now. Full Gear is November 13th. We have 6 weeks. Is this not a WWE logic building feud right now? Just because during the time that Hangman was out, Kenny Omega did not do any type of jabs to keep Hangman relevant while we get to this point.
Right. And I'll tell you this much. This leads me to another point or another question. Is it Hangman or is it Bryan Danielson? And I've been on this kick all along. And you two, all of us, Hangman should win. Hangman should win. Even when people were begging for Bryan Omega 2, to which people want to act like they wasn't begging for that, now that Hangman is back, it should be Hangman. And like, what made me upset last night, I'm scrolling through Twitter and people are like, well, see, everybody said Bryan and Punk and Cole was going to make people forget about Hangman, and now look at the pop. That is not what we said. Or that, like people said, Bryan going straight to Omega, like that rightfully worried people. And my point is, okay, if it's going to be Hangman, then why waste the first time matchup of Bryan versus Omega or a feud of Bryan Omega when it was going to be Hangman all along?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's that thinking of like, who do you put there as a what do you call it? I guess as a fill-in, because if you really think about it, Bryan Danielson is a fill-in just because, and that's why they had.
Right. And we'll see how that goes.
Hey, Corey, can my boyfriend do like a guest cameo? Because he really has something to say. Is that cool?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, cool. So go ahead, man.
Okay, so this is what the whole situation is. They wasted pay-per-view matches of Daniel Bryan and Kenny Omega for a title match. They could have done this a couple of months later after Daniel Bryan built himself up, going through other people that have nothing to do with the main title.
Absolutely.
Wow. You have Hangman versus Kenny looming the whole time. How is Hangman going to live up to the match of Daniel Bryan and Kenny Omega? I mean, really, could you really fathom that? That was a fantastic match. But to know that Daniel Bryan is going to lose because Kenny's going to keep the belt for the Hangman versus Kenny match, it made no sense. It was a letdown.
Absolutely. I got to agree, to which we had a first time in AEW dream match. And as you guys put it, it turns out Bryan Danielson was just the stand-in. Like, this is something that you center an entire pay-per-view around. The first time matchup of Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, and it was done on network television. So, like you said, I don't know how Hangman lives up to that match. Like, it's impossible to live up to Danielson versus Omega from a pure match quality standpoint.
It is because Hangman is good in the ring. He really is, but he hasn't he hasn't become the breakthrough star that he was supposed to be. And I back to this too. I always go back to the time when it was Ring of Honor and New Japan having the partnership back in the day in I think it was at least 2016, 2017, and March of 2017, I believe. Hangman challenged Jay White at the time for the United States, the IWGP US Championship title, and when they had the signing, Hangman went first in his promo, but Jay White destroyed Hangman in his rebuttal promo, and everything that he said 4 years ago is exactly the same shit that Hangman has not overcome. And I'm like, yo, if someone is really pointing out all of your flaws as a wrestler and telling you the stuff that you're doing, especially at the time he was in Cody Rhodes' shadow and like the Young Bucks shadow, and guess what? He was in the Young Bucks shadow, here in AEW, and still in the shadow of other wrestlers. And you didn't take the advice of Jay White to try to improve yourself. I really don't know how Hangman versus Kenny Omega at Full Gear is going to live up to anything else.
Well, we got 6 weeks, and Tony Khan, this is Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade 97. You can't mess this up. The result is obvious, and this is big for this company, and we'll see how the story is played out, and we'll see where that leaves Bryan Danielson as well. Moving on from AEW, where should we go next? We can do a little bit of NXT, not the whole show, but we can do a little bit of NXT. Mandy Rose, Toxic Attraction. Mandy Rose is on the hunt for the championship, which is held now by Raquel Gonzalez. And look, there's a lot of people that doesn't like the Raquel Gonzalez title reign. I think it's time, if you're going to go all in with Toxic Attraction, I think it's time, okay, go ahead and put the title on Mandy Rose. What do you think about that?
It feels new. It feels fresh. It's obviously not the same faces that you see typically before they revamped 2.0, which, by the way, I remember sitting down and watching a full episode, and I can't complain about it. I just can't. It's not. It's really interesting of how they're building characters, especially with toxic attraction, because the women already in WWE get a bad rep, right? Sometimes WWE does two good steps because we complain about it, and then 4 steps back when everyone quiets down. But I think that Toxic Attraction is a really good team, and especially they have different backgrounds, and I think that's what people are more attracted to, all pun intended, to want something new. I think that with Raquel, I'm butchering her name, I'm so sorry, Gonzalez. I don't know, man. I don't remember anything memorable from her, and that's not on her per se, but I don't remember. So maybe we do need a new champion, and we'll see how Mandy Rose plays to that.
Right. And I think it's been the challenges for Raquel Gonzalez. There hasn't really been, if I can remember correctly, a ring general that she's been in the ring with. So that's kind of hurt her as well. And we'll see. I'm all for Mandy Rose winning the title. And you know what? Build up Toxic Attraction. Moving on, another person that has just completely won me over, Bron Breakker. It's going to be Bron Breakker versus Ciampa at Halloween Havoc for the NXT title. And man, I never thought I'd be here saying this, but put the title on Bron Breakker.
Totally agree.
If you're going to go with him, go with him. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I totally agree with that. I'm even smitten with him too, just because, he's a combination of his dad and his uncle. And I'm just yo, this is gold. Like, I'm still waiting for that Steiner Math 2.0. I'm still fucking doing that. He was close. He was close by saying, make no bones about it. Like, I was like, oh, just come on, a little bit more, man, a little bit more. He's the only, like, second generation superstar that I'm super excited for him to be in the fucking business. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's just something that's so nostalgic and like really fun. But that he could definitely like, hurt somebody. And we don't have that anymore when it comes to like certain second generation and third generation wrestlers. Like Braun Breaker has it all. And I'm really excited to see what he does. I really hope WWE gives him the NXT championship title. And let him run with it and let him be him. Because then it's going to be 100%. His merch sales are going to go through the roof and, it'll be nice.
Yeah, man. And you said the math part, like I'm waiting for him to start a promo with, this goes out to all my freaks out there. And Scott
oh my God, man. Yeah. Yeah, man.
The kid won me over like the very first time I saw him. And this was before I knew he was Rick's son. He just has it. He just has it all.
I mean, us as wrestling fans, like we picked up on it right away. We were like, wait a minute, that body size, that fucking gear, his face. Whoa, hold up, he looks like someone familiar. And then when he starts wrestling or even talking, you're like, oh no, they had a kid,
Yes, it was either Rick's or Scott's because he sounds like both of them.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm really excited for his future.
Me too, absolutely. Moving on, we had Joe Gacy. He won a match. This guy's character, man, I've never wanted to punch somebody like a character, to which that probably means it's working on me. So, yeah. But this guy is something else, man. What do you think about him?
I remember the first time that I saw him, that time that I actually sat down to watch the whole show. He was doing like, this ring is a safe space and he just wants to be a nice guy after like the matches. I think there's something there, but, obviously, Twitter always has something to say about it, right? Like something stupid, but it's always WWE picking up on, the commentary that happens over on Twitter where like, there's all these like woke people and then there's all like the common sense people and then the people who want a safe space. So why not capitalize on that audience to get them to watch NXT? Especially if you think that like, obviously the ring shouldn't be a safe space because you beat people up. But essentially, like, if you want to cut a promo, I guess you consider it a safe space, right? Like, it's a balancing act. And I think that, Joe Gacy has something that can work. It's just a matter of WWE maybe tweaking it to make it work. I just want to see how it pans out because remember, they took him off TV for what, like maybe I guess 2 NXTs before bringing him back?
Right.
It's weird.
And I'll tell you this much. Another thing, speaking of weird, Parker Bordeaux showed up in the crowd and like they've taken away his hair. They've taken away the guy's eyebrows. What are we doing? Like the kid had a really good look and now I'm assuming it's going to be a Joe Gacy versus Parker Bordeaux feud.
Oh my God. So like I saw the picture of him and I was like, this looks so weird. And then and while you're explaining it, my brain is like, yo, he must be a prison character. I'm so sorry. He must be a prison character.
Like that's what it looks like. He was stalking old Joe Gacy, and I guess we'll see how the storyline plays out. But man, the kid had hair that made him really stand out. So I don't know.
Well, now he stands out more. He's like a pencil. He's like a thumb.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's a pencil. So we'll see. Moving to the main event, Briggs, Jensen, MSK, Mello, Trick Williams, and the Grizzled Young Vets in a 4-way tag team matchup for the titles. A really good matchup. MSK picks up the win. And we had an Imperium beatdown of MSK. And Briggs and Jensen comes to the rescue. possibly a future MSK Imperium feud. What do you think about that?
I only know, like, my brain is only projecting the pictures of MSK and Imperium. The other two, I don't know. I didn't get the chance to like see this one. But it was a fatal four-way. It was a fatal four-way tag team match.
Yes, it was.
I mean, I don't have much thoughts on it. I do know that MSK is really they're a fantastic tag team. And them to go after, well, not them to go after, but Imperium to beat them down. I wouldn't mind seeing Imperium versus MSK, but for like the other two new tag teams, I don't really know much about them, right. So I can't really comment too much.
Right. They're pretty decent. I'm a fan of Mello and Trick Williams more so than I am Briggs and Jensen. But an MSK Imperium feud, sign me up for that. That's gonna make for a good match. I'm assuming at Halloween Havoc. So we'll see about that. We have some wrestling topics to go, but I'll take this time after AEW and NXT to jump into your MLW experience. How was it?
Man, so I was press for MLW, and MLW is Major League Wrestling. You guys can now watch it on YouTube every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then I'll have my critiques either out on the same day or probably the next day.
So they're back on YouTube.
Yeah, they're back on YouTube with MLW Fusion Alpha, and that's like, you know, I guess like the new season of MLW.
Wow, awesome! I became very invested into Myron Reed, and they went away from YouTube, and that's when I stopped watching. Okay, they're back. Awesome.
Yeah, it's just that I believe like Court was still trying to figure out like where they should like, you know, put it up and stuff like that. I do know that it feels like they take like season breaks in a way. After they're done all the tapings that they need to do, they take like a little break and then I guess come back and whatnot. So I live here in New York City, so it was me, JD Alpha came along, and the guy who made the cameo on your podcast, my boyfriend, we're gonna refer to him as Ravage Dragon because, you know, we all love kayfabe, so we're doing this in like kayfabe order. You know, all three of us went from New York City all the way to Philly, man. We fucking drove. That was, we drove all the way to Philly. I got there late for like the media stuff, but I still managed to capture like Hammerstone and like Myron Reed, but I didn't catch Most Marketable. I finally got to meet Alicia Atu like in person, and it was she's super cool. She's a super cool, down-to-earth girl. I told her that I was proud of her learning how to wrestle and doing that stuff for like OnlyFans with Selena Del Rey. I mean, no, Serena. I butchered her name. It's not that Selena.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I saw that going on, and the first thing I said is, okay, when in...
Okay. Oh. All right. So the 2-3 podcast, Corey has taken a little tiny bit of a break. He's currently on mute, but when he comes back, I'll definitely answer his questions about that OnlyFans thing. And I know I butchered Selena's name, and I'm totally sorry. I've been butchering a lot of people's names. I've been trying to absorb all the wrestling that I can. So aside from meeting Alicia is a really cool, down-to-earth girl, and I told her that I'm proud of her for learning how to wrestle because I don't wrestle, and I've accepted... Oh, you're back?
Yes. All
right, cool. So let me answer your question about the OnlyFans thing, right? So, the matches that Alicia did with her frenemy is only going to be on OnlyFans. You have to get a subscription to OnlyFans to see these matches, and those matches lead up to a pay-per-view that they have.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. And she was showing off the bruises on her arms because, you know, when you're learning how to wrestle, you get bruises and shit. Her tailbone is bruised as well. But you know, she's a trooper, and I was like, I'm proud of you for you doing this, because when I was in the ring, I was like, nah, I'm good. This isn't really for me now. It's only because like when you get into the ring and they tell you that you have to like fall on your back, your brain is automatically like, no, you're not doing it. Don't do this. And you have to really train yourself to like be relaxed and like, yeah, I'll be fine. Like, no, you won't be fine. So this is why I don't wrestle, and I've accepted that, and I like doing stuff behind the scenes. I saw like Jacob Fatu just walk back and forth. Davey Richards walked back and forth. I managed to take a picture of the ECW wall, the famous one. It was in the men's bathroom. Everybody goes into the men's bathroom, so it's okay. Yeah, everybody goes in there to take a picture with the take a picture in front of the wall. And then I got invited to sit where Hardcam was at, so you guys will be able to see me tonight on Vice TV for the main event and for Myron's match. So you guys will be able to see me. I'm dressed in all blue. You can't miss me.
Awesome.
It was really cool. And I think I got the seats because I asked the main guy, Mike. I was like, yo, you need help with anything? I was automatically being my helpful self. He brought out a table, and I was like, oh, we're going to have a tables match? And he's like, yeah. And then I went over to him, and I was like, yo, you need me to help you with anything? Like, you got it, you're good? And he's like, nah, that's cool, man. Thanks. So at least I offered to help. And then, like, I got the seats. I took video of, like, everything. It was, like, just super cool being around fans and just hearing their reaction and stuff. The only thing that I wish that they would have told us was that we're also taping MLW Fusion in the process of doing Fightland. And I was like, oh, God, man. Because we didn't leave until, like, 12:30. And I didn't get back home until, like, 4 in the morning. But overall, I love the MLW experience. There's like wrestlers that like I knew and I talked to them. There's managers that I knew and I talked to them, and I was like, yeah, I'm here as press. I was just networking and stuff like that. But I had a really fantastic time, and hopefully I get to do it again.
Awesome. That sounds like a fantastic time. And we got Jacob, a bro, and we're talking wrestling, man. Talking MLW experience from Marie. Man, you can jump in at any time. But Marie, that sounds like an excellent experience. And like before MLW, like they left YouTube for a little bit, I was very invested because Myron Reed and Injustice, that was like one of the first things I saw of MLW, and I was like, yeah, these guys are it. And
yeah, it's really cool to watch Myron Reed, which by the way, you guys should definitely tune in tonight because the Fatal 4-Way has Myron Reed, Arez, Amaris, and Tajiri facing off for the title that Myron Reed has. Oh yeah, and it's really cool to see Tajiri. It was super cool.
It was still going.
What happened?
I said Tajiri is still going. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, and he's also the promoter for All Japan. So MLW has like they have certain guys there for like their own Forbidden Door.
Awesome.
So and also one last thing too, if you're going to Philly, make sure to get those Philly cheesesteaks. And I picked the perfect place for us to buy Philly cheesesteaks because apparently, according to JD Alpha 2 years ago, Geno's sucked. But then I was like, yo, all right, so let's go to Pat's. And Pat's and Geno are just like maybe like 12 feet, like they're right by each other. So I didn't get a Philly cheesesteak. What I got was a roast pork cheesesteak.
Awesome.
And that was pretty good. Yeah, I wanted something different. I was like, I know everyone gets a Philly cheesesteak, but I want pork, so I got myself that. But yeah, if you're in Philly, make sure to go to fucking Pat's.
Sounds delicious. Jacob, as you join us, we got like 5 topics. We've talked AEW Dynamite.
Right.
Do you have any overall thoughts on AEW Dynamite?
I'm a big fan of AEW. I enjoyed this. Excuse me. I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, man. Awesome shows going on. We'll see what happens with Hangman Page. That's my dog, man. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna wait.
Yes, sir.
Wait and see.
You gonna drink a beer?
Well, I'm
Like
not a
you
beer
did?
drinker, but I'll drink a water to it. How about that?
Yeah, water. Coke is fine too.
Yeah, I'll do that. Moving on. You want to talk about going from an immediate high to an immediate low. While Women of Wrestling announced that AJ Mendez was back in wrestling. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. But it come to find out she's a producer for the show. She's not going to be wrestling. So that was a little bit of a bummer, even though I was still excited. And then right after that, I'll find out that Tessa Blanchard is in Wild Women of Wrestling as well. And it was like, Wild Women of Wrestling, they hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth to tie the game. And then they announced Tessa Blanchard. They just threw the game after that. Like, what do you think about that?
I always offer a different perspective because I rather have unity and like forgiveness. Like, I know that Tessa is not the most easiest person, but like I don't know that personally. And even the stories of her with the N-word and stuff like that. I'm always like a believer that like if someone is not doing the same stupid things over and over without learning, maybe there's room for like growth and forgiveness, right? But yes. if the consistent story from other people are going to be coming out now, right? So like WoW just got started, right? So let's just say like in 6 months, if you hear the same freaking story over and over by the ladies who are there, then you should be like, Tessa shouldn't be in this business, or like she should go to like therapy or something, or like talk it out with somebody. But Absolutely. I'm just gonna be the one to be optimistic and be like, WoW is gonna like succeed. They have AJ Mendez there to be one of the producers and stuff like that. But I would just say keep an eye on Tessa and make sure that like she truly like has changed, because it's from a long time ago that happened to like now. People tend to change. And I don't tend to like want to hold stuff against people unless like it's really, really, really dire, unless it's really, really like, yo, you should, or like you shouldn't even be here. Like we made a really good stride of like not having like Joey Ryan come back in with his stupidity and shit like that, or anyone else that like harmed people. The moment that like Tessa harms somebody is the moment where we could be like grabbing our pitchforks and being like, yo, what the fuck you doing, right? But I totally agree that like not everyone is gonna jump on board, the same thoughts that I have, and I totally respect that. But I don't think that we should definitely count out the WoW federation just yet. Maybe like as change, maybe room will have her be better. Even though I really don't like using that phrase, but I'm not just going to count it out just yet, just because a supposed bad person, because no one knows her personally. I don't know her personally, so I shouldn't really be like, yo, you're bad. But the fact is that maybe she's trying. Maybe something different. Not out just yet,
Well, I do agree on forgiveness. I'm a big guy on forgiveness. What she did, it was like, oh man, that's one I'm not gonna say you can't come back from, but that's a big one that really sticks in my craw, where I'm like, oh man, I'll give her a chance. And I like Wild Women of Wrestling back when they had their season before this. They went away for a long time. That was in my weekly wrestling rotation. And I think it was an hour-long show, and I was pumped up for that. I think it came on Fridays, and I would just sit down and watch Wild Women of Wrestling. It was a good product. And I'm going to watch it whenever they decide to, whatever the time frame is going to be. I'm going to make time for it. I'm going to watch it. It's going to be on the podcast. And you know what? I'm excited for it. Tessa Blanchard, we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see, man. Because
yeah. I never want to be like, oh, you have to like accept her. Like, I totally get it. Like, everyone has different experiences. Everyone, will treat the situation differently. And like you said, that you're gonna give her a chance. And that's all I want people to do, is to give her a chance. If she continues to do stupid shit, say stupid shit, even do stupid shit, then you guys have all the right to be like, yo, she's not a perfect fit. But if there's like some change, all you have to do is just try to give like a second chance, because I know it's difficult, especially in certain situations where like people tell you to like pick and choose, what stays and what goes. But at the end of the day, like it's still her livelihood to wrestle. I wouldn't even know what she'll do if like wrestling wasn't around,
right.
But like, there's other wrestlers in the wrestling business that like done really high heinous like shit, and like we've done a good job of not having them back in here. It's one of those type of balancing acts. But I'm not trying to tell you like what to think and what to feel. It's just like, I just want to put it out there of like, give everything a chance, other than trying to be like, oh, it's bad 100%.
Right. I'll give her a chance. It's just she's on a very thin line for me.
Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. You could keep her there. I'm forever. Whoever listens to this, just keep an open mind. But like, if she fucks up, and like go full force.
Right. Moving on. Man, Bryan Danielson had quite the. I don't know if I can say it's a take, but he said back in his younger years when he would watch wrestling, all of his friends liked The Rock and Stone Cold, but he said that he hated The Rock and Stone Cold because all they did was talk. And on one hand, I see where it's coming from, but on the other hand, I don't. I guess it's like what's I don't, because what's the criteria here? Like, you look at Steve Austin, and he was great pre-neck injury in the ring. And you look at The Rock, like, he wasn't the catch-as-catch-can, flippity-doo, luchador style, but The Rock had a lot of really good to great matches based on the fact that he would tell a story in the ring. Prime example, Rock Hogan. I consider that a great all-time great match. So what do you think about that?
Well, for me watching Bryan Danielson's like whole career, even when he got to WWE, before WWE, he wasn't really cutting promos. He'll cut promos here and there, but it won't be to the extent of like the way that The Rock and Stone Cold would do it. And then Danielson was all about wrestling. It wasn't too much of like, yo, let me hop on the mic and let me talk some shit. It was like, let me wrestle, and then that's where his words will come through, because the fans will like hype him up. So that's the only difference, because he really didn't cut promos back in like Ring of Honor and stuff. But he also has to remember too that the Attitude Era was all about talking.
Yes.
The Rock and Stone Cold was all about talking. The talking got you invested more than the wrestling, because those guys really didn't wrestle. It was like a plain match, but you hyped it up so much that it was like, oh my god, this is so good. But it's just that Danielson is a fighter. He's not so much of a talker, and when he got to WWE, he had to learn how to talk, and he has to look like, well, WWE, teaches people how to do things and how to grab people. It's not just about wrestling. You have to have the whole package. But I'm just going to go with that. He was never really good at promos.
I agree. And you got to be able to talk people into the door. And yeah, that's quite the take, or quite the opinion from Daniel.
I just thought of this. Imagine if, and this is and if any wrestlers like listen to your podcast, you guys should go try and do this too. I just came up with this thing. Imagine putting Danielson in a car dealership, right? And he has to go up to a customer and sell them a car. How is he gonna do it? The Rock would sell you like 15 cars, and you'll buy all 15 cars. Even Stone Cold would do it. But can Daniel Bryan sell you a car?
Right. And I'll add another thing to that. When you look at when we talk about who's on the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, who do we put on there? Guys like The Rock,
Stone Cold, even like Undertaker,
Hogan.
maybe some Bret Hart up in there too, you know. But we don't put Daniel Bryan. I mean, I don't. I don't put him up there.
Right.
He's great as a wrestler, but like, you know, I don't put him up there as like a Mount Rushmore.
Right. All those guys could talk on the mic. They were really good. And yeah, man, I agree with you on that one. Moving on, we have the King of the Ring and the Queen of Crown tournament starting on SmackDown Friday. This is interesting. If you ask me, I would have rather had it been its own pay-per-view or a network special. That's just me. But who do you have? Who should win the King of the Ring and the Queen Crown tournament?
Xavier Woods, only because this guy has been advocating for the King of the Ring since like its inception. Like Xavier Woods makes me believe that like he should be, you know, the next one to get. As for the Queen of the whatever they're calling it, I don't know, because they don't have like, you know, I enjoy watching the women wrestlers, but like no one really stands to be like, you know, that person should get it. I would have to see the brackets and then maybe make a judgment on there. But generally, like, I'm all set for Xavier Woods to win King of the Ring. But when it comes to the women, it's like, I don't know who.
Right. For me, the King of the Ring, Xavier Woods. This dude been like you said, campaigning for this for God knows how long. Make it happen.
And you saw him too, right? On Raw. Where like after I think him and Kofi won the match, he screams into the camera. He's like, "Crown me, crown!" I was like, "Yo, we should fucking crown you, man!" Like, yo, that's great.
Yeah, yes, indeed, I agree on that one. The Queen Crown, I'm gonna have to say, given the storyline, I'm gonna say Naomi. That's who I want to see win the Queen Crown. It has to be somebody that needs it. And we got the storyline going on with Naomi and Sonya Deville,
which I'm not too proud of. I'm not too. It's cringy.
Like it?
It's cringy.
I understand that. That.
It's cringy only because of like, you know, I really hate when WWE tries to do this whole fucking like racial thing just to get a reaction, you know? Like, I fucking hate that. It's like, give Naomi her time, but don't do it in a way where like Sonya has to act super strict and authoritative with her, but then if like Charlotte wants something, she fucking gets it. You know,
right.
Like, I don't like that. Like, no, treat her as equal as you would as Charlotte, because Naomi was there before Charlotte. So why the fuck is Naomi getting the short end of the stick?
Right. They've never explained that one.
And then also to piggyback off of your idea of saying to have Naomi win the crown, yo, that's genius, because now, right? Let's say that like she does win the crown. Roman could go to her and be like, "My queen, come join, you know, the tribe." And like she'll be part of the fucking bloodline.
That would be incredible.
That would be a nice fucking story.
Like, yeah, sign me up.
But again, you know, WWE had to kick me out 3 months in, and like they lost me as a fucking writer.
Wow, that sucks.
I could have been like giving them fucking storylines, but like, yo, Naomi needs to be on top. Naomi needs to stop getting the short end of the stick, and this is how we're gonna do it.
Yep, that would be incredible. Alliance with Roman Reigns. Because if you look at it, Look at Apollo Crews. He had, and not many people remember this, but he had a quick segment where he was in this back room with Roman Reigns. And just from that quick segment, he went from Apollo Crews just sitting around backstage to Apollo Crews that's actually being used now.
Yeah,
so
and it's taking off, and it's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, sign me up for Queen Naomi and the First Lady of the Bloodline.
Yeah, definitely, man. We should tweet this out on Twitter and be like, "Yo, let's do this." Oh, by the way, I wanted to bring up, because now that we're talking about WWE, I still like my tweet about putting the 24/7 championship title on Brock, just to see what happens. WWE will get ratings.
Yeah, sign me up. And look, this works out for Brock Lesnar. You don't even have to leave your house. We can just shoot the segments in Brock's farm in Canada. And
he's in Canada?
Well, the last time I checked, he was leaving. He was living in Canada and like claiming Canada as his home or whatnot. Now,
oh shit,
this was years ago, so I don't know what he's doing these days.
Oh wow. I would have never thought that he would move to Canada. I know he don't like people, but man, like there's other places in the United States where like you can like live where like there's no one around.
Right. But yeah, Brock for the 24/7 championship, I support it. Like, yeah, let's do this thing. Speaking of Brock, unfortunately for us, they're making this Crown Jewel pay-per-view like a must-see thing. And like they always put a few matches on this stupid thing in Saudi that you just have to see. So you end up watching it. And that's where we are now. We got the three-way women's matchup. Bianca, Sasha, Becky. We got Roman versus Brock. We got Big E versus Drew. And it's shaping up to be a good pay-per-view that, you know what, I'm going to be here watching in 2 weeks on Thursday. What do you think?
You got to remember that pay-per-view is specifically for the Prince. So whatever the Prince wants, the Prince gets. And this is why the Crown Jewel is a better on paper, when you look at the matches, you're like, oh my god, this is like must see, versus like what the fuck we get here in the States. Because here in the States we're not pumping out like billions of dollars for WWE to put on great pay-per-views, but the Prince is, because the Prince has money like everywhere. I mean, like I may watch it, I may not watch it, I may interact with people and their reaction, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, and it is what it is.
Yep, that's the way I feel about it too. It is what it is. We'll see in 2 weeks. Moving on to the last topic of the day: Christian Cage versus Josh Alexander, Bound for Glory. Look, it's time. I've been asking for God knows how long now for Impact to get their championship back.
Yeah.
And Josh Alexander is cashing in option C, and it is time for him to win the championship. What do you think about the result?
I mean, the whole option C is to also give up the X Division Championship title. I mean, it could have been double duty for Josh Alexander to do both the X Division and then the championship title. I mean, he could have lost it in a very respectable match against Ace Austin after the fact, because I'm betting on Josh Alexander to take the Impact title off of Christian Cage. Again, nothing against Christian Cage. It's just that, an Impact person should be carrying the title if we're not going to really do this Forbidden Door much longer between AEW and Impact. Because I really do think that AEW was fucking tanking Impact, and the only people that are helping Impact is New Japan Pro Wrestling. It bothers me. But I'm rooting for Josh Alexander to take the belt off of Christian Cage. And maybe option C should have been tailored to where, if that does happen, Ace Austin could get his match against Josh and take the belt off of Josh. like a respectable match rather than now going through another tournament to get a champion for the X Division title.
Right. I totally agree with that. Let's go, Josh Alexander. # bring it home. Bring it home. So that is it for this episode of the Too Sweet Podcast, episode 130. Marie, thank you for coming in. Otherwise, I would have been solo in this thing. You are
no worries, man. I'm free. Like I do my stuff like full time, and like I still make time for you. Don't worry. The one thing that I love to do is talk about wrestling, no matter what. Like I would drop everything and be like, "Yo, let's talk about wrestling."
Me too as well. So we'll see. Every week something crazy happens in wrestling, and we'll be back for 131 next week. Have a great day. Stay safe. Be kind.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Take care.